right, let me tell you about Starlight Express. It is so much better than Cars. 1984. It's Thomas the Tank Engine. It's about trains. A young
wow.
train who is, as a steam engine, is now obsolete, but he wants to impress an observation car. And so he goes in a, what do you call it? Race against modern cars. I don't know what the modern car looked like in 1984. I'm assuming it was like electric or something, but I don't know. It wasn't. It was.
No, I don't think.
Oh, were they diesel engines?
That was.
I was not paying attention during Thomas the Tank.
I do remember diesels being pretty popular in the mid '80s. But yeah, I don't know what would be considered the optimum speed. Probably just gas.
So yeah, there's that. It's exciting. And notably performed on roller skates.
Right? That the fact that they were dancing around on roller skates was pretty cool.
Yeah. I was like, that's why I heard of it, because 1984, it's been around for a minute. And yeah. Things Cloud sent.
We have this interesting space where all we get is just a little taste of it. To be able to go and get more than just a taste.
I don't know. sometimes the fan fiction you have just spontaneously created in your mind is just.
You don't want the disillusionment.
You don't need the boring parts where the talk singing is just so. We're gonna sit here for 2 hours and do this. Oh my god.
I always loved that. I mean, being able to go and see.
Yeah, I love theater. Mostly. I mean, except for when I go to sleep. In the middle of Spartacus. I wake myself up snoring.
I have never done any such thing. So I can't even.
I was like, oh no, I am my grandfather.
I am my own. No.
I'm not my own grandfather. I'm just like my grandfather.
Just like him.
I went to a show. Theoretically, I was going to enjoy it, but I fell asleep.
That is so sad.
And it happens all the time with ballets. If I don't have auxiliary project, lights out. I love ballet. Lights out.
Next thing you know, you're snoring.
And it's like,
man.
Who died?
Oh, the weird things that get passed on.
And you're like, it's genetic?
Never would have guessed. Not in a million years. And obviously, I was not one to receive said gift.
There you are, wide awake, wondering why.
Why am I still awake?
Why were you dragged to this thing for the person that want to stay awake? It's a very expensive nap you're having there, Josephine. You're like, yes, it is, Mother. It is a very expensive nap, and I was enjoying it.
Okay. I can't see for the forest or something?
Normally not.
This doesn't look like... But it must have been, because I don't see another one.
Well...
Oh, there it is.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, clearly it's in that cup because I'm okay with using it for this.
There's that.
Tools.
So there's the glazing brushes at Studio. And there are some wild brushes in there, and I have questions. I mean, I figure they went there eventually to glaze, but they're like the fancy, soft kind that are wide and fluffy. Soft and soft. That's how soft they are.
So are they like more like this?
They're less thick than that. Like the depth of it's less, but it feels like it's a sable brush, and I don't know what it's for.
It's not for glazing?
I don't think any of those brushes were originally for glazing.
Oh, okay.
I think various brushes got
that's
co-opted because
how they have ended up.
I mean, disappointing. Especially when you don't do like fine work. Splooge it on there. It doesn't need to be.
No, you don't need any type of...
And I've seen glazing brushes presented that are, they have a certain look to them for splooging for maximum accuracy. And yeah, these don't look like them. I use them to dust the fuzz off of pots.
A necessary procedure.
It really is.
This does not feel... Oh, by the way, I forgot to ask about that. I have not been scooping my divot in the bottom, and are they turning out funky?
I haven't noticed anyone being funky. I don't know.
Because I wondered if there was that whole discussion about if you scoop it out, it doesn't...
Yeah, you're less likely to dry into a weeble.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering is, should I go back to scooping?
No.
Obviously, it's an extra step that if I don't have to do it, I don't want to do it.
I know, right? There was some weebo concerns, but...
Yeah, and I think
did we grow out of them?
I think it's funny because I think those ones that I was being all diligent and sanding were weebling.
Yeah, because sanding wouldn't stop the draw up of the shrinkage.
I was doing that, and that's when I was told to scoop or something. Actually, I decided to scoop.
Yes, because the horseshoe leg creates the scoopy situation style.
Yeah,
keeps it from doing that very articulate thing.
Okay, so they just went into the firing, right?
So these ones I didn't glaze because they're still wet. I did not glaze them.
So they haven't gone in.
No, I put in pine gnomes and an older reclining gnome that you'd made. They were big ones.
I made a reclining gnome?
Well, he leans back a lot. He's stunned.
He's not a pine gnome?
You might be stoned. Definitely not. These are like some of the first ones you made. So and it's just they were really big.
So they're supposed to be these kind of gnomes.
Yeah, they're just accessory gnomes, but
he's like leaning way back.
He's leaning way because he
has
that apron thing. Because I don't know, somehow Darby does an apron thing with makes the pony hat and then spreads out the beard and then drapes it over the legs.
Yeah, there was some weird thing that you were trying to convey to me, and I tried to do it, and I didn't. The problem was
I didn't understand it either. It did not compute, and
so there was a lot of not knowing, and that's what came out.
Yeah, and then you're trying to sit it, and it just is the.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is, when those unscooped ones go through, let me know what happens.
I will try to pay attention.
And well, I guess if they all come out all weebly wobbly, we'll know. So no swearing. I looked up Starlight Express. I have already lost my doo-doo all over about it. It's hilarious. Aborted.
That was contraceptive, my friend. And I'd like to say I've still got it. The skills. 18 years.
Right? You still know how to avoid. Better than Robert ever did.
It wasn't his skill set.
Oh, and let's just, be premature here about what we're doing.
I was gonna say I've done snails, a squirrel. I'm doing gnomes right now. It's so riveting.
And I'm looking at how many you've done, and I'm like,
but they're not finished. You finished a gnome, and I'm still making little cones. Okay.
Yeah, but that might be the key. That might be the key to getting faster here, is to just focus on the one step. It is the one thing that I do in the other stuff when I'm bulk.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, stay on there. And then you add water and everything gets really slick.
Slippery little suckers.
Oh, his feet are just sliding all over the place.
12, 18. Okay. Chewy can't count very well.
Well,
That's new.
we don't have any, what do you call it, counting bears here to help you.
I've got counting gnomes.
You got gnomes instead. I went looking for those. I got distracted, I think. I really did. I was just like, do they even make those anymore? Because I thought they were so cute.
Such a lovely hand feel.
And I really regret having gotten rid of them. But it's not something I wanted to acquire. It's just something I just wanted to see if they were still out
You
there.
just wanted to know. For the sake of nostalgia, I want to know, do you still live?
Do they still exist?
Is that a thing?
I can't even remember that store we used to go to for homeschooling supplies.
What was the name?
It was something like Learning Center.
It probably was. It was like a name of the neighborhood.
I don't remember the name of the neighborhood being on it.
I don't know.
And I can't even tell you. I know it was in
parking lot.
it was in a warehouse district,
Yeah.
but beyond that,
I don't know.
there's a lot I don't remember.
It was better than a what do you call that? Stationery store. Because it was stationary, but it was also like all those
Oh god, it was all the cool stuff.
school accessories.
The cool stuff that teachers go and get to help with their curriculum when the state doesn't cover it, or maybe the state does cover some of it, but they are the one
They get their
picking it
special
up.
budget for picking out the
They-
fancy
they're picking
accessories.
it up. Well, the first thing I did after my experience with going into a beauty supply shop and being told I couldn't buy a pair of scissors, first thing I did when I went in there was, do I have to have a teacher's certificate or license or degree to shop here?
Like the degree. And I laugh because I know that it might be true.
Exactly.
After that debacle with the librarians. Oh, so mad.
So where you get doors closed in your face because you don't have the right certificate. And you're just like...
It's like, oh, you can do the thing, but you can't buy any of the accessories. Like, what?
What? Yeah, that's exactly...
Oh, yes, you can do exactly what a children's librarian does, but you're not going to get paid children's librarian dollars because you don't have the education.
Okay.
I felt for Beth.
Yeah, no, that wasn't cool, but...
You have maximum seniority, proven skills, but we've just decided
that you just don't cut it.
I understand she went and danced though, and that's inspiring.
I'm not sure I follow, but that's okay.
I don't know what specific type of dancing she was into. I had always assumed it was along the lines of ballet. I don't know what you call that kind of dance in general.
The modern dance?
Like if you did contemporary dance, it's just called dance.
Yeah,
like
a lot of times it got labeled
but the
modern.
likelihoods that you would be doing a polka are slim.
No, I don't think there was polka.
So I don't know if it was like, it could have been ballroom dancing. She could have been doing ballroom dancing.
Right, it wasn't necessarily performance art.
But I'm just gonna laugh some more because ballroom dancing is a big time performance art.
Yes, it is. She could have been doing recreational ballroom dancing or whatever. We don't know.
I don't know what she was doing. She was dancing, and she was happy doing it, and I was glad for that, but I was still mad about the whole, I've decided you're not worth the dollars to do the job.
Yeah.
It was a price break thing. It was so snotty. The parameters of the job in no way changed.
It's frustrating. It frustrated me when they wouldn't keep their well, like you, for their high school.
Yeah, that was such a weird program, and I admit that it was largely peer pressure. It's much like when the person goes, you're overqualified for this job. You should go away. And I'm just like, I don't really feel like my life choices are yours to enforce.
I'm good at this job, and I'd like to stay here.
And then,
And
them
they're
taking
like,
on the
no.
older person later, but they liked that older person because they had a driver's license. And you're just like,
Ooh.
oh, you know what? It's a good thing I love you, Terry.
Right, you didn't want to take it out on Terry, but
No.
just because they hired him and not you.
I already had the job, that they were running me off the job.
I know, they ran you off the job, and
then they were like, oh no, I
year,
do need an adult for this job, but an adult with a driver's license. And
right,
I'm just
a
like,
year later, they had Terry in the position, and you're just like,
I know my life needed to go someplace else, presumably, but did you have to be so rude?
And in the long run, really, that turned out for the best, because with the remodel, you couldn't have stayed there.
I couldn't have stayed there, but I did.
And Arthur got all those years, you know?
Yeah.
He got all those years before they remodeled. You guys didn't overlap because of age. But you got your...
I feel like we could have done it with a different attitude.
I agree. A different attitude. I miss being able to go to the libraries.
That's why I got so excited when I bought that library book, and by accident, and I was like, touching a library book. This is so long. Like, that is not something you're like, oh yeah, I got chronic illness, I can't go in the library.
There are so many things that we used to do that we just can't do anymore because of the illness, and it's just like weird. What
it's just
things
so weird.
What things you're just like, oh no, you can't do that anymore.
No, I choose life. Ooh, what? There was something else I wanted to kind of tell you about. I got distracted by locomotive musicals. Deeply distracting.
And I gotta say that I kind of just, that distraction was worth it. It was, the realization that they were all trains and not cars.
They weren't even cars, they were trains.
Made it even better.
True. So yeah, Cloud, if you find a video release of some kind of Starlight Express, I'm here for that.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. They can't hear us.
They're totally
I just realized they're plugged in and can't hear a word we're saying.
Special request, it's tonight.
Not on my watch.
Found a picture of a lady who looked like Oliver Platt. Totally works for her.
Oh.
And I was like, I showed Arthur, and Arthur goes, that's not what I would have said. Oliver Platt is not the first. She seems firmer. I was like, well, she is younger than our current impression of Oliver Platt. So I imagine by the time, she reached the appropriate age, she could shake her jowls with similar veracity. And I was just like, I feel like she would be the tough little sister, It's like you have one marshmallow and then you have your bulldog sister.
What a picture.
Who's going to solve your problems for you.
Ooh, I was that sister.
It's a thing.
I was for a very short while. Then I decided that
they didn't need protecting anymore.
I didn't need to do that.
Turns out, it's absolutely zero need.
Yeah. It's just like, no, actually, no.
Oh, but she was a lawyer? She was in law, which is apparently a very large field to be in. And she worked in civil rights. And so, yeah, it was a lawyer. Because her focus was defending at-risk folks like immigrants and women and queer people who would often get
on the wrong side of the law for whatever reason.
Yeah, so she was a big part of taking apart the they would do sting operations on homosexuals. I'm sorry, it's just so ridiculous. Like, you woke up one morning, you're like, we should do a sting. We could pretend to be gay until someone...
That's just...
You're just like, you woke up this morning and you thought, I could solve world hunger, but instead...
Instead, I'm going to be a jerk.
I'm just going to be rude. I'm going to ruin somebody's life. Woohoo! I'm just like, does it go through your head like that? I'm gonna ruin somebody's life.
I don't think so. I hope not.
I really hope not. I want to think that you made a wrong decision on your way to trying to do good. I just would rather it be that.
That is so not okay. There you are.
And that I found it so deeply endearing that she looked endearing.
There you go.
That she looked like Oliver Platt.
Might be enduring too. But...
You get bonus points. It's a social group thing.
These really are dry.
Yep.
But they're not as bad as they were yet.
Last
It's not
time?
yesterday. It's the day before yesterday.
Sure. That other day that we did this.
Oh boy. All I can think about is I wanted to get out this week and record more of SC out there and the weather and my back and all the things that are just like
No.
No.
How about we stay inside? Oh, wait. Is Arthur inside?
Arthur is inside.
Hey, Arthur?
What?
Did you turn off the generator? If you're not using it, could you turn it off?
I just placed right once.
Oh no, we can't.
So I've been, the lingo deer is cool because it's a little more formal in its speech, which, you know, one can get as slangy as one likes in active speech, but trying to achieve formal after you've learned to be really informal is actually harder, in my experience. So that they are a little more proper about their use of, I don't have the words for the language parts that we're getting, but I'm glad we're getting them.
Right. No,
And they're clearer about using the here and there, which is funny.
I didn't like the way languages were taught when I was in junior high, but starting with the formal is probably the better way to go, especially in teaching you a language where it's important.
Yeah, yeah.
And that if you're, as a visitor to the country, using the formal, even if that's not what everybody else is using, is more respectful.
Or at least that's how I would interpret it.
And in Mexico, we would get a lot of guff, but I still think that it would be better to go in there with formal Spanish than to come in and insult somebody on accident.
Right. I'm just like, yeah, you get guff. You get guff for being a foreigner. I mean,
Right.
I'm like, I feel like the
is-
people
that
would
is so
give
true.
you guff for having formal language are the same people who'd give you guff for just being foreign.
Yeah.
And
No,
they're
no,
just
that's
guffy
true.
people.
They're just gonna give it to you.
You can decide case by case whether to take it or not.
Yeah. I didn't actually spend that much time in Mexico.
Ooh, Ming cheese in Mexico. And there was a laundromat she was showing where they had lines. They had lines to hang the laundry outside.
At the laundromat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and there was someone at the piers to gut your fish. So if you'd like cut fish, or if you had caught fish, I can speak.
So, yeah, okay. So you've been fishing and you've caught the fish, but you don't have the ability to gut it.
Somebody else could gut it better. And, or say you just bought it freaky fresh off the fisherman, you could take it over to the gutter and the gutter would gut it for you.
Cool. I never liked gutting.
It's kind of gross.
I think Grandpa Poole, when I was really little, tried to teach me to gut the fish. And I think I was like, no.
Grandpa, that's gross.
And yeah, I remember him showing up at the house with a bucket a 5-gallon bucket of live fish, because that's fresher that way.
Right,
He caught them, he'd stuck them in a bucket of water.
Gonna have some sushi now. No, I know he was not gonna have some sushi, but you could.
That was not what he was into.
That's what Mangchi did. She was like, and then we
Yeah.
had fresh fish with our rice, and I was like, oh, I bet that's tasty. Maybe it's disgusting texture though.
I thought the fish were cool. Not in a eat them way. Oh, because nobody knew how to prepare them or teach you about bones.
Sorry, that's just sad.
It was awful. And my mom just said, don't eat the bones.
Well,
And, you know, I don't, and now not knowing, I don't know for sure what kind of fish it was, because, you know, I was little.
exactly.
But, you know, there are ways of deboning certain types of fish that are easier, you know, on your plate ways. And I wonder if maybe it was just a lack of knowledge. You know, Grandpa liked to catch them, but he didn't necessarily like to eat them. Turned out Grandpa Stagner didn't eat them. He hated them. But he loved fishing.
And he just couldn't quite wrap the sweet little brain around catch and release.
No, they didn't do catch and release back then. I'm pretty
know.
sure the barbs on the hooks were part of the reason.
Which is interesting because apparently you don't. Do you lose more fish that way? Is that just, and it's like.
I think it does damage to the fish, but I don't.
No, I mean, like, if you don't, since obviously you don't have to have the barbs on the.
Oh, yeah, they get away.
So do they have a higher chance of losing them? Because
Yeah.
when
No,
you
the
do
barb
catch
is-
and release, you take it out and you do the fish picture and then you throw it back in the water.
Right? The barb is about not losing them, because they can swipe your bait and not get caught.
Right. And if you were trying to feed yourself, that would be really annoying.
Right? But yeah, if you're not going to eat it. But of course, you know, maybe he's thinking he's providing for those who do like it and will eat it. I don't know.
When you've contrived elaborate excuses so that you can do this thing.
Right?
It's work. It's not me relaxing by the water in the sunshine. No.
No. I have no idea what was going through the old man's mind. I do know he stopped going out so much. Just thinking about that when they lived in Seattle, you know, when I didn't live there, they only lived a few blocks from where we ended up living.
The airplane house?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
They only lived a few blocks from there, and it totally was torn down by the whole ordinance of the flight path.
Right. No, I'm telling you, man, a really superpower. I'm putting it on the logs. What I want is to be able to see through time. So I can just look back at places and see like how the neighborhoods changed and when they put in trees and cleared areas for ordinances and stuff. Kind of like that town that you know, that town I told you about where the coal fire is still burning, the underground coal fire.
Oh yeah.
The town is taken down. So there was a whole town,
But now it's not there.
but now there's nobody there. I mean, there's no buildings. They took the buildings down.
Wow. They didn't want anybody there.
No. Well, and if you leave that buildings there, you're gonna have squatters. And if you're like, no, that's nasty, because it is.
Yeah, and it's dangerous, and for them, and for, you know, the whole situation. And if you're trying to keep people from being near the coal fire,
That's what I mean. Is that it's dangerous to that's not good air. And if you've actually acknowledged this.
it's just surprising that they did that. Still didn't put out the fire.
That the town didn't just go, I don't know, with a little smog. There's so many places where people are like, the water's bad, but I'm gonna live here. I'm gonna, you know, let's go.
There is that.
You're like,
It's got air you can sink your teeth into.
Cities. People live there.
Mm-hmm. I wish I could remember the actor. Oh, I almost had it. And what was the...
So it must have been really bad, is my thought, is that it is worse than even, you know, San Francisco's smog at its best. So the picture did not like show it looking smoggy, but Maybe
But
we
you
were
had to be.
upwind.
It had to be. Oh man, I had another thought.
I'm sorry.
It just went.
Bye.
All right. See, I'm trying, but I'm not catching up.
Nah. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. So you put the beards on and everything. Formed the noses.
Yeah, well, it keeps me from creasing the nose.
Right? And you don't crease your toes, that's what I was running into. And one of them I decided to do it intentionally.
Just keep on going.
I just kind of said, oh, look, he's got toes.
Oh, I used the bright red on the my Oya lid gnomes.
Oh, they got.
It's gonna be like really classic gnomes. I'm very excited
Yeah, I like a good
for my
red.
reclining gnomes.
Obviously.
Nothing like a good red hat. Just
I do. I mean, Essie's not got that bright red hat for no reason.
it's great and it's a classic. I felt like a classic was appropriate in the context.
Do you ever stop and think it's humorous that we work with Laughing Gnome?
I think Kismet is or something like that. It's only natural that woodland creatures would just
Naturally hook up with the gnome. I also think it's kind of funny how over the years he really did become a gnome.
I know, right?
He didn't look like that when I met him.
Settled into the concept.
He sure embodies it now.
Sometimes your headcanon overtakes you. It starts to manifest
You know?
out of your beard.
Right, he was clean shaven when we met him.
Exactly. I don't know if this Scritchy Scritch is getting enough magic water under this nose. As I continue on anyway.
Woo. Is your Scritchy Scritch broken?
No. It just usually you can pick up and it like leaches in like a nib pin.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not satisfied with how much moisture. It could be that my clay is too dry.
Moisture levels aren't what they ought to be. Which is why, you know, you do the water. Of course, I'm over here, like I said, spending too much time.
But if I put water in there, it gets like
Slimy.
sticky. And then I leave little fingerprints.
It's like the perfect amount.
Not too much. Not too
So basically, the problem, yes, with recording, not with it stopping and saying you have no more storage space, was all those things I deleted that weren't actually gone.
Oh, that was holding that thought for a whole month because
Yeah.
you deleted them because you wanted to save them for another month.
I deleted them because I wanted them off my phone, but of course, you know, the phone knows that you are going to delete something you want back. It knows.
It knows. It's onto you.
And so it hangs on to it. And this has been handy. But, yeah.
It wasn't being handy right then.
It stopped being handy. And so I said, well, you know, chances are it's more important to just delete. And I did.
You're like, now empty the trash.
Like, let
Sweep up
it go.
put it on your door.
So that I store so many more. Just hate it when my phone thinks it's smarter than I am. I hate it when it's true.
You're like, that's not respectful. And it's like, I don't think you're using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. What? I was watching a preview for someone who was, they had a pill to make them like super smart, make your brain access, being able to access all of your brain, you know, that tendency to not use the whole thing.
Because we don't.
Right? So they had it, like perfect recollection and parsing and stuff. So this is
the premise for what?
A movie? That might be the other Gosling movie. Anyway, and of course they're silly people and they go too far. And one of the things is though you get spastic. And so if you're not like constantly aggressively jamming more into your brain, you feel bored and like bad bored. Yeah. Scary bored. And so, you know, they go do things like drive too fast, and it's usually okay because obviously, you know, you have faster reflexes because you have all that access to your magical brain. But you're making everybody else around you really nervous. And of course you do things like gamble and with shady folks, and that always backfires because this is a movie and I believe an action film, so yeah, we gotta keep the plot moving. But it kept making me think of that story with the mouse and the guy, and having a little bit that Last Born movie. Anyway, where they find a drug to make you smarter, have and better access to your brain, but then but if you stop taking it, you're gonna go back to your regular self, and how that feels if you have, you know, your higher functions are available to you and you find them fading away. Yeah, I know. And I was just like, is this one of those where you make an action film out of my brain rotting in my skull? And I go, I just want to remember to sit down and have tea. And I do wonder at the positing, I mean, for the sake of an action film, that you have to go in order to keep your intellect underway.
I think that's kind of weird.
I think that's utterly ridiculous, but I'm going, you don't need to go anywhere to keep your intellect stimulated. Your brain is going, man, it's going.
Does not need physical activity.
It I don't know.
At least that's not my experience.
I'm just going to say that because it was a special cocktail that
who knows? Maybe there was some physical requirement.
I mean, there is.
Cocktail.
When.
Yeah, you just can't even.
But like when you're dealing with like the Dave brain stuff, the physicality does play into it. Like your ability to learn things is stronger when you're in motion.
You're moving, yeah.
So it's not completely
bogus.
It's not outside the realm of believability, but like the degree suggested by movie magic was a bit much. You're all like, yes, no.
But that's kind of the truth of most movies. Yes, no.
Just go run around the house and no. When I watched Barbie, it was yes, yes.
Man, they are still having fun with that. And how many people just don't get it?
And yet it's still yes, yes.
Yep.
Well, okay, so some people just didn't watch it and didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that thing. That's a whole nother thing.
They wouldn't have gone to see probably either film.
Yeah, I just see that funny where it's like, well, it's Barbie or Oppenheimer. I'm like, I can see a large swath of other movies that you might like want to watch that was neither of those subjects.
I'm just like, there's a lot of people out there that aren't going to watch either one.
And they're like, and we don't care. Which I suppose fair enough. But we're not talking about them right now, are we, Tim?
No, I guess we're not. Gotta let that go. Okay.
I'm just like, do I want to watch Oppenheimer? The outfits say yes. The subject matter says no.
What with the whole...
It's so sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not good with the whole drama.
It's such a dark drama. Although I want to see how we made this into a daddy movie, but at the same time...
The curiosity may win over, and then you'll be like, oh, I
sat through that. I've done that a few times, okay? Sometimes curiosity must be dealt with. You gotta revive the cat. The thing isn't about... You don't avoid finding out unless you want to leave the cat dead. I'm not a monster, so I gotta go watch the thing.
Curiosity.
The most ridiculous phrase in phraseology. You're just like, but why? Who came up with that? What group of persons? What Malafor was that turned into a whole thing that people say all the time?
Because it wanted to keep you down.
Well, curiosity. But see, they were like, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. And then they're like, they just left it at curiosity killed the cat because basically it was shut up, kid, you bother me.
Yes.
And
you see, it took a long time before I found out about the other half.
that you could save all those cats. What is it Batman says? Stitch in Time saves 9. The 9 members. Yeah, that one. Batman knew.
Batman knew.
Batman always does. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. That I was very excited about. They're, all the movies I'm not going to watch. They're doing a sequel to Beetlejuice. And
Really,
it's
really?
Directed by Tim Burton, which is like
That's
definitely
awesome.
a good one. And Beetlejuice is still Michael Keaton.
That's awesome
So
too.
it's like we're having the season of Michael Keaton, The Great Return.
The Great Return. Yeah.
And
That's what it would be.
and Wednesday is your fresh goth baby.
The current Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. That
I was like,
works.
wait, did Ryder ever play Wednesday? Did she? She'd have been perfect.
Mm-hmm.
In one of those things where you had like all the Wednesdays going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know. I don't think so, but
I just retrieved the other Wednesday. It's Ricci.
yes.
So-
But I mean, how many?
Unless she voiced Wednesday. I'm not as up on
Yeah.
the animations.
There's other options out there that we're not familiar
There
with.
are no other options. I know all the things. We're talking about Adam's film. There are no options.
We do know an awful lot, but not all of it.
Like I said, I'm a little less up on the animated series of various times. There's still some surprises in there.
Oh yeah.
But I was like, color me intrigued.
Yeah. I just hope they don't go darker than it was the first time.
I don't know. It was pretty dark. There's a lot of...
That's why
And Monica
I don't wanna go
Bellucci
darker.
is on the cast list as Beetlejuice's wife.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I was like, wait, wasn't he trying to marry Ryder in the first one?
I don't remember.
Like, somehow the ghosts helped her foil Beetlejuice, who was being creepy. And yeah, I was like, what was the resolution? Is that we ran off the parents and she lived happily ever after with the loving dead couple.
Yeah, that was the resolution. I just don't remember
And between them
that
and
middle
there,
bit.
between them and there
You
was
know.
the deal with Beetlejuice, and he was like trying to do a classic fairy tale and get you to be his bride, which was weird. For rather Beetlejuicy reasons, and I kind of actually appreciated that they decided not to continue with the general fairy tale option of going, yeah, no, creepy dude. David Bowie, you are not. And hey, he got told no too. Look at all that no. Look at all that no just going around going, cute, but no.
I approve.
It's interesting that you think that's romantic, and
Kind of not right, but
when you expect you're dealing with otherworldly people, I mean, I just don't think that they should be held to the same. You should just recognize that's actually not what you were interested in. It was not like you were hoping. It's peak. He's a 10, but he's a goblin king, and it's kind of weird down there. Like, not really human friendly. It's a nice place to vacation.
let us not forget that he was kidnapping children.
As a way of flirting. Which I suppose is better as a way of flirting than as a way of snacking, but still.
Right? I kind of
Which is also a Goblin King thing to do.
I kind of wondered if that was on the list. Snacks. Not being as up on the fairy tales as you would think that I should be.
So there's this, like, I would love it for more information on Earl Kings, because I keep seeing references to Earl Kings. The Earl King is a singular entity, but different renditions of Earl Kings and references to Earl King, and which is like German. It's not like a compound royalty thing.
Didn't have that sound.
Well, it's really confusing when you're like trying to look it up. I wonder if I spelled it like E-O. Anyway. There's like trying to find out about Thor's goats. Like, they exist, and that's about as far as it goes. So he does indeed lead the wild hunt.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So we're talking about the wild hunt guy, but none of the words would come forward.
Right?
I love it.
I think in many ways he is a Goblin King.
Possibly. But you're not finding references.
I'm not finding
there's so-
strong structure to this because
Yeah.
it's not a Grimm's fairy tale, so there's not like
Oh, no. There are a lot of fairy books out there that came out, in the 40s, 50s that I would love to get my hands on.
Mm-hmm.
But they are not,
they're not readily available.
yeah, they're not. And I have a feeling they might shed some light on some of that.
Right.
Pretty sure there's a whole group of people who grew up reading them at their library.
Love a library. Miss a library. Well, it's a little like my African fairy tales, and like later I go, why is it all I can ever find is Anansi? When I was growing up, there were other stories.
Right? And then it just gets kind of melted down to this one, and you're like, I know.
Just hanging over the counter in
Mm-hmm.
King County going, so you had the section of stories and they were amazing, and
I'd kind of like to have some titles to look for.
Turtles.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the ones that you've been picking up from the internet, the Instagram account.
Right? Well, they're cool.
Yeah, they've got some great things coming out. And,
They're coming closer to
and
the...
by giving you the names, the actual names, you can then search that and get further.
Right, because, like, there's a whole lot of you know kind of stuff where you're like, well, if you had the right names, how am I supposed to get the right names? That's how fairies work. Right. I know this.
You need to get the right name.
It's all about the names. Yeah.
Oops.
They actually have a book, which I should find and put on a wish list.
I did, but I couldn't figure out how to put it on a wish list, and I certainly was not in a position to buy it right now.
I know, because it's big, and it's thick, and it's expensive, and it's illustrated, and it's expensive because it's illustrated.
No, it's worth probably every single penny that I don't have.
Every single one of my non-existent pennies.
Yep. I need more pennies. I need a lot more pennies.
I need books. Put in my library.
Oh, and you notice that we've already outgrown our extra shelves?
I think we started out outgrowing up our extra shells. But anyway, yeah.
Probably true.
We just didn't know it yet.
Hadn't gotten them on the shelf.
You're like, yeah. Oh, with too many.
Yep.
Oh, there was this kind of confusing story about this bookworm. Guy who compulsively collected books. He had the money to do so. So he has a manor, an estate type thing going on, and which he let go to, what's it called when you let it rot? He let it rot.
Okay, we can go with that.
Because he had a son-in-law he didn't like, so he refused to keep it up.
Ooh.
You know, that's what happens when you get like all up in the trying to manage somebody else's business. They start to do things like spite, rot your house, your inheritance. Anyway.
That's rough.
It's rough on so many levels. I'm like, I appreciate your frustration, but it's sad.
It is.
Anyhow. So he had a tower as well on the property. Which I was getting the impression from, it's the book collector, you know, the guy with the Tolkien and the Pooh Bear stuff. He was talking about, he was outside touching grass and talking about books.
Okay.
And
That's different.
It was. And anyway, he was saying that this guy had this huge collection, which had saved several books that, went out of print and were generally lost to antiquity. That were in his collection. So that was cool. And so he was compulsively collecting every book. He would just go into a bookstore and buy all the books.
Oh. But he was keeping them in the manner that he was letting rot?
That was very unclear. That's when you go, like, 90 seconds is not enough to give me all the answers that I need. I should probably have taken notes so I could look the dude up.
Yeah, because that sounds like,
Well, I think he was keeping them in the tower.
kept
Like
the
I said,
tower up only?
yeah. The tower still stands. It looks great.
Okay.
So I'm assuming what I drew from the thing was that he kept them in the tower. He had an extensive collection, and I had a point beyond the fact that this person was a serious bibliophile, but I can't remember what it was. I was so overwhelmed by the thought of that many books. Anyway, I need a tower to put my books in.
I agree. Even if...
And no need to let the house go to waste. We can do upkeep. We can do upkeep, but a tower to put your books and it would be exciting. It would probably also be very annoying because every time you wanted to look at a book, you'd have to go outside.
Oh, you can copy and paste the code.
There you go.
What code?
The code you were,
Tax form code.
sounds like a code you were looking for.
The login code.
Oh,
Looks like a picture, but it's not.
oh. Those colored letters.
I have
I thought they were getting weird.
such lopsided little feet, but
He's just got one leg pulled back further.
just doing shenanigans.
He's doing shenanigans.
So many bodies. Why did I sign on to do this?
I don't know. Why did you?
Because that's how many mugs I have.
Well, then I guess you're rather committed.
Yes, I'm just bored. I can't do this.
I can't do this many leaves. I can't do this many gnomes. I can't do. Yeah,
I just can't.
it's definitely a theme.